July 5th, 2004, I was in a sleeping state when I found myself walking along a grassy hill. There before me stood my sheikh, who seemed to be awaiting my arrival. After exchanging greetings, he pointed in the direction shown here and was giving me some directives and instructions. We were both looking towards a field, and although at the time I didn't quite understand, I knew this vision in my sleep state was symbolic. So when I awoke, I wrote it down and I told my sheikh. Fast forward to 2016, we lived in a very small apartment which our family had outgrown. We had been looking to buy land and another home just, to upgrade. We had 3 children living in this house. We were homeschooling, and it was just a really small place. In fact, the refrigerator, which is to the left of the screen, was in our living room. And we had a little workstation in the corner where we homeschooled, and there just wasn't a lot of wiggle room in this home for raising a large family. So I'm just showing you here, this is the living room that we lived in prior to moving, and we worked a lot of the times in this little screen house you can see on the outside of the building, where we shared that space with storage. We built these storage boxes and we homeschooled outside in the morning. At this time, my kids were only in 1st and 4th grade. Notice the spiral notebook on top of the 1st and 4th grade workbooks. Well, I was using that book to write the English translation to a Persian poem when I forgot a line and ended up contacting my murshid to ask him what the translation was. And the conversation that followed took me back to that place that I had in my sleep state, or some might call it a dream. And in this sleep state, what my murshid was saying to me, what my sheikh was saying, was for me to move to this land and start to cultivate it and build a recording studio and, raise crops and livestock, and he's giving me all these directives. So in that phone call, he said the same thing. So we got started and had the trucks come out and clear the land. We honestly had been searching for a while and nothing was really coming through, but as soon as we started to do as we'd been told to do or advised to do, everything started falling into place. It wasn't easy, but it fell into place. All the steps that it took, they were a lot, and we still had to endure different tests and trials and, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, such as the tire flew off of our vehicle with our whole family in it when Walmart was negligent about changing the tire. I think the tire was low in air, and we went to have air put in the tire, and when we left, the tire flew off. Moving on to brighter days, my whole life I couldn't figure out why people would live in a trailer, right? Until it happened to me. So here is our mobile home being delivered, and everything is going well, but I actually got the answers to some of the questions that I've had throughout my life, which is, why do people live in trailers on land instead of building a home? Well, it turns out that there's a lot of red tape, paperwork, and if you do not own the land, then you cannot put a permanent structure on there in some areas. This just happens to be one of those areas in which you have to have a mobile home, and you cannot build your own home if the land is not in your name. Now, like I said in the beginning, this is not my property. This belongs to my sheikh, actually. So, in following his directives, we moved to this property in order to cultivate it, in order to raise livestock, and to build recording studios so that young people will come away from listening to toxic, haram music and produce their own poetry. As I mentioned earlier in this video that I was translating a poem from Persian into English, because that is something that I do as well. I study poetry and languages and such. If you've been here on my channel for a while, you may already know that. If not, ahlan wa sahlan. Yes, this is a story of how we got to where we are and what inspired us and how we came to this point in our lives. And basically, I just want to give you a little background on it because, I feel like it's time to show why we're here or what we're about and our purpose in homesteading and living this unconventional lifestyle. So, we are now looking at the side of a double wide mobile home being moved together, and my family is here. We are anxiously awaiting for the process to go through so that we can move in because, like I said earlier, we were in a very, very small apartment. The next step in the process was to build the studio, and there were so many red lines to cross and so much red tape, however the expression goes, that we ended up ordering a pre-built structure and bringing it onto the property and using that as a studio. But because it was hollow on the inside, we had to build it ourselves up on the inside, and it took so much time and so much work. And really, when you're working with one person, maybe two people if there's a volunteer around, and alhamdulillah, don't get me wrong, please don't get me wrong, there was one brother who really he volunteered, or he gave so much money towards this project. May Allah be pleased and may Allah bless him forever in both worlds. Ameen for that. And there were a lot of people who donated, but this brother, he really, it was outstanding, the amount that he just gave for the sake of Allah, for the sake of bettering the community and giving the youth something to do that is positive. So night and day we were working in the studio, but there isn't but so much I could do. Honestly, I'll just say it, being a female, I couldn't pick up too many heavy things, and I really don't know how to build that well. Really, yeah. So, we worked night and day for this project. I am now outside of the studio. Oh! Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Huh?
So what happened to that lamp?
So what?
What happened to the lamp?
Oh, that was like that. It just came on there.
Oh, it's not broken?
No.
So we are finished laying the subfloor. What is this floor called?
Well, we're finished laying except for this little piece there.
Okay. So this is called the subfloor? That's what I was asking.
I'm preparing to put up a wall right here.
Okay. Let me come in here. This is where you've prepared to put up a wall. Looks like a ladder. But this indeed is the ladder. The back is open. This is the glass for the double pane. Is two of them for the I don't know what it's called, the studio window. Yeah. So not only were we trying to build this studio for young people to come and record their talents, we still had to cultivate the plot of land that we lived on. And Allah is so kind. He really sends the inspiration, because these berries were already growing there, so we just picked the berries and the kids ate, and we made different recipes with them. And just seeing how the fruit and vegetation came to life, I want to say effortlessly, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grew them. We didn't grow them, we didn't plant these, and they come back every single year. it was very inspiring, and it just let me know Allah is there, Allah is with you, and you can do this. Just put forth the effort. Just plant the seeds, get the seeds, plant them, and He'll make it grow, because He made this grow. He created this, and it's not hard for Him. So just put forth your best. And honestly, that's really what took over us, that inspiration, watching Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we got to work, tried to start building on our own, building the garden boxes and things that you've seen over time if you've been here on my channel for a while. Otherwise, you can check out some of the other videos that I have. But we built these garden boxes, we planted the soil, or we planted the seeds in the soil. The kids helped out, they watered the garden, and alhamdulillah, we had an abundance of vegetables and fruits this year. And things were really, really in harmony, and we got to witness how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes things work. This is very unclear footage, but if you look closely, you can see the bee is in there pollinating the flower, or maybe he's taking the pollen from this flower to spread it to the next flower so that we can grow squash. And we had neighbors, alhamdulillah, who helped us out. We found these pallets for free on Craigslist, and our neighbor lent us the truck because, like I said, we had tests and trials, so we lost our truck along the way on the journey. And with those pallets, we were able to build a little sheep shack, or a sheep shed. We like to call it a sheep shack, sheep shed, sheep shelter. And my son and husband built this together. We also built the pen, or the corral, for the lambs, because we are planning to raise lambs, inshallah. Some for meat and others for sale and wool, and we'll see how far Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us to get with it. But here's a step. So this is temporary. We are zip tying the fence panels to the T-posts, and those are our little lammies just chilling under this temporary tarp right here. But like I was saying, the zip ties are just temporary to hold it in place until we are ready to put the metal clamps. I can't remember, there's a proper name for them. You okay? What's that on his shoulder? Look at his other shoulder. They're panicking. Lay down, they just don't know us yet, so they're panicking. And right now we're just looking to see what this, it was like a black spot on his shoulder. And then we're putting the shelter over the hay so that when it rains, the hay is actually lifted on a pallet right now, raised on a pallet. And this structure is holding up. It's just 4 T-posts, some plastic, draped over, well, it's stapled over some used fence that we got on Craigslist. And it's actually holding up. It's doing the job. So this is what I was talking about, the metal clamps that go on the fence here. So we had zip ties in place, but now we're able to complete it the proper way. So as you can see, there's a lot of rainwater on the side of this vehicle, and my father was kind enough to still come along with me, or take me, or bring me. We came in 2 separate vehicles to pick up these water reservoirs.
This is why you can never pay your parents back. Let me see if I can capture this. Oh my goodness. My boo's out here. It's a flash flood. I was not expecting a flash flood, and I asked him to help me, and the flash flood came, and he's still out here. Boo, you're really doing this, subhanAllah. Hold on, wait for me. So guys, Allahu Akbar, look at this. Allahu Akbar, look at this.
So Allah is so kind. My father put the water reservoir in the back of his truck. We had to make 2 trips because clearly the back didn't fit both reservoirs. And here I'm just cleaning out the reservoir. It had food grade glue in it. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a food grade glue, or they use it to seal up food packages. And I am cleaning it out with Dawn soap and vinegar right now, and we have to do a couple of flushes. Apart from storing water, we have to set up the generator because we have annual hurricanes in our area. So between September and October, between those 2 months, we usually get hit with a hurricane. So we'd like to reserve the water, especially with having animals now, and the electricity. We'll need a generator because oftentimes the electricity or the power goes out. To sum it all up, this is like a modern day lifestyle of Nabi Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. He paid attention to his dreams. He reserved and preserved food and drinks. He raised animals. And I have my sheikh to thank, because had he not given us this boost, we probably would not be where we are right now. Although we could be further, we have so many multiple tasks going on at once. I'm really just grateful for what we have and where we are. I hope you enjoyed the video and learning more about our unconventional lifestyle. See you in the next video, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.